I'm Richard Porter.
I'm Johnny Smith.
And this is Smith and Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars and many other things.
No more sightings of ill-modified Jaguars recently, but I must say thank you to a person I can't remember the name of on Instagram who said, have you seen the Brexit MG? And I've gone, no, what? I've not seen the Brexit MG. It's an MGF or TF, so the Roadster, and there's a big Union Jack foil sticker across the boot lid which just says Brexit. and and that's it. That's the whole message.
That's it.
It's just what's going on with British cars that haven't done anything to anybody, just getting needlessly bullied and abused, mutilated. Actually,
I mean, this sort of in that respect, they've not committed. So I presume they're in favour of it. The Union flag would suggest
that they
yes, but it's not definite.
Totally clear. No, not is it?
We have had actually some more Jag tragedies.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah. A listener called Alex Burst sent one he spotted on the M4 not far from where I live.
Was it going into your drive and you
yes,
getting out of it?
Look, it's me driving. No, it's an XJ8, an X350, the aluminium-bodied but trad-looking one. It's not been comprehensively ruined. The main and most striking thing about it, as Alex acknowledges, is that it's got a big sticker, like a white outline sticker, of a vertical AK-47 in the back window.
In a Jag XJ?
Yeah. Hard to unpack that in a way. You just like what? I don't know.
I feel bad for all of these cars. They really are not great.
I mean, that one's a fairly minor one. I've now lost it because, of course, absolutely shocking state of admin. But somebody sent us... Stephen Kipping sent us a picture of an XJ40 pickup that he's seen tooling around Wolverhampton.
I've seen that, and I think it's good. I think it's good.
I feel like I've seen a different one. This one is... I can't tell actually. Stephen acknowledges that he's taken a picture that doesn't show enough of the key feature. He's taken a front three-quarter photo, but you can see that there's a couple of hefty bits of wood being carried in the back of the pickup.
Hefty bits of wood
over the roof. Somebody else. Why can't I find this? This is annoying. Someone. Oh, I know why. Because I stored it in the special "Remember to Read This Out" folder. That's why.
What you weren't in there?
Well, I've actually been tripped up by my own
filing
organisation. A listener called oh God, I'm going to mispronounce this. Iwan Ewan. I don't know.
Iwan Ewan.
IWAN.
Oh, I think that's Iron. I think that's Iron, isn't it? Yeah.
Iron, like a lion in Zion.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Iron has infiltrated the Jaguar X-Type owners group on Facebook.
Seriously?
He says, I'm not an X-Type owner myself, but my partner's family have two. They've been very good cars. He's pulled out some examples from the Facebook group of people just vandalising X-Types. There's one here that's just been slathered in extra bits of chrome.
Oh no, not the stick-on stuff.
And then there's another one. Now this looks like I don't remember this being a factory colour. It's sort of silk cut purple. Maybe that's deliberate. X-Type estate. It's had all sorts of things done to it.
There's a very close relationship between the silk cut Le Mans Jag and the X-Type estate.
Yes,
I'm going to say,
yeah.
There's so much that bleeds from one to the other.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of shared parts.
Yeah.
Particularly, I know that this purple X-Type estate is a diesel because it's for sale and it's got one of those old school used car dealer stickers in the windscreen that says turbo diesel.
Oh, nice. That's nice. That's nice.
And it's got one of those sun visor hangers that says it's 4995. The bit that struck me about this though is that it has a sticker, white lettering, that's running up the windscreen in line with the windscreen pillar. So just sort of on one side, on the passenger side.
Yeah.
That just says because X-type.
Really?
Because X-type.
Because I've just remembered two things. You're talking about turbo diesel, so I'll mention that first. This week, while I've been doing an awful lot of road work, motorway work, I've been enjoying just car watching. You know, like it's and people watching within the cars. It's a favourite of mine. But I've seen an unusually high amount of Ford faults, should I say? Forwards. What's this? The S-Max. I was about to say, what's the Galaxy that's not the Galaxy called? It's the S-Max, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ford S-Max. Can I just say, I think it's better looking than any SUV. I think it's such a good looking car, and we know it's a good car. It's no longer with us, is it? But
no.
A couple have gone past me, and do you know what my favourite part of it is?
No.
It's the downturned exhaust tip.
Oh, do they?
I think it's only the TDCi.
Okay, yeah.
But it has a very flush with the back bumper, downturned exhaust droop, which I just think looks really cool. In a world where there's so much blendery with fake exhaust inside apertures, which just looks like, I don't know, pretend chimneys and things, it's all silly. I love I love a downturned tip.
You'd like to see the return of the saggy tip.
Return of the sort of tap. It's like a tap exhaust tip, isn't it? Because a tap has a downturned. Yeah. You very rarely have an upturned tap, because that's just mad.
No.
That's just causing instant trouble.
Those bloody ones that are an open channel.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So they don't have a top on them and the water comes out and it looks all very arty and sort of like it's like a waterfall. But some of them are really uncontrollable.
They are.
And I encountered one last week and I was wearing, because the weather was hot, a pair of shorts, like green cotton shorts, exactly the kind of colour that shows up any water splash.
Yep.
And I was out and about. I was in a place where I then had to emerge from the bathroom. It just looked like I had a lawn sprinkler on the end of my chap that had caused untold damage.
You did a quick Prince Albert in your lunch break and forgot it involved now having to have a sit-down wee forever.
Using a compass from a Midland bank. Free stationery set from the 80s.
I have to say,
references.
I think I sent you a picture of me in chinos last week or the week before, and I'd just done the washing up.
Yes.
I mean, we are rock and roll, us two. And I'd done the washing up, and I think the tap I'd turned the tap on, and it had sort of ricocheted off a plate or a certain angle of crockery, and just fired loads of soapy water across my crotch. So and then the doorbell went about 5 minutes later. Typical. And it's just blatant I've pissed myself look, which no one's looking for. And it was grim. Another piece of Jag news, Jag vandalism news. Jag vandalism news. It's Jag vandalism news. Yes. Don't be naughty, don't be nasty. Oh, look, I've ruined another Jag. Well, you know, I used to brush my teeth habitually to Iron Maiden live performances.
Yeah.
I think I've finally extinguished my sources. I can't really find any more now. So, yeah. So
what have you moved on to?
I've moved on to POV banger racing videos.
Oh.
So it's not musically, it's not the same because there's just lots of destruction. But
feels like Iron Maiden would go well over the top of POV banger racing videos.
Actually, yeah, it would if they could afford to pay for that or forfeit the income from the YouTube videos. I think that's a really good idea. But I found one only yesterday, weirdly, just pure coincidence with the whole Jag mutilation chat. Someone's done an XK8 coupe.
Oh.
That went round the short oval and all that. And
a first generation.
Yes.
K8.
So, yeah, first generation XK8 coupe. Pretty car.
Yeah.
And yeah, went round the short oval and got ruined. But it looked good as a banger car, I have to say.
Did it?
Yeah, it did look good as a banger car. But
do you know what puts me off using an XK8 as a banger car? I know nothing about banger racing, like I've never done it. But I always think that if I was building a banger car, I'd want something with quite big side windows so it'd be easier to extricate me from the wreckage if it all went wrong.
Well, you don't have a windscreen, so there's always that. Most of them get in.
Yeah, I suppose, but it's still quite a low roof. I feel like I just want big windows to be able to get out of, for people to be able to cut me out more easily. And the XK8 feels quite low. You're kind of trapped in there.
You are right. And there are some people that get well and truly trapped or sort of concertinaed, which still amazes me that they all walk away, seemingly.
Yeah.
So
what's the most ridiculous or surprising car you've ever seen used as a banger?
A Volkswagen camper van, 70s VW type. That was about 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, it's absurd because one hit in the back and the engine no longer works, and then you're just a sitting duck. That was absurd.
I was going to say, does that not? I mean, I suppose frontal impacts, you're golden because.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know. What year was it?
Mid-70s.
Oh, okay.
So bay window with a high top roof. Actually, I think it rolled over because it was too top heavy and it just flopped onto its side. But yeah, I mean, in the last 3 years, I've seen a 1910s car with wooden wheels being put round.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You just like nothing's too sacred. Nothing's too sacred.
It's just weird. Why would
it's kudos. It's weird kudos, Rich.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's let's go hunting and shoot the rarest animal, and then kill it and put it on the wall.
Yeah.
It's that.
But then I wonder. I would quite like to see a 1910s car having a go at that thing that you sent me ages ago, where those people just doing the jumps.
Oh, the jumping. Yes, you'd really like to see that, would you? Because that would involve death, I would suggest.
Would it?
Come on.
It's an open roof, I suppose, isn't it? And also, it's not very strong.
The chassis would probably bend. They're just sort of C-shaped chassis. But
yeah,
you see all those. You see all those old black and white film stunts, silent film stunts with the Model T Fords doing ludicrous things. Yeah, well, I think that's what I'm thinking of. It's like a sort of Buster Keaton move, isn't it? Just jumping a Model T. Used to be big stunts back then, and they were all the time. They were wearing nothing but a full suit. Which you just, you think. I mean, I only wear a full suit when I'm going to a very, very prestigious occasion. You've got to really force me. Like I think the last time I wore one was probably with you at the James Bond premiere. Yeah, I think that's the last time I wore a suit as well. I don't know. Anyway, yes. Well, that's the thing. But back then, I mean, it was bad manners not to wear a suit, even if you're going swimming or something. But I suppose also, you could use the tie to pull someone out of the wreckage if you needed to. But that's right, and all that. Or use it as a tourniquet if they'd horrifically gashed open an artery or something. I don't know. Gosh, I love the word tourniquet. It's good, isn't it? It's a really good word. The Ford Tourniquet. What a useful vehicle that would be. Do you know what? That would be a really good... that would be a really good Ford. The new Ford Tourniquet. Or for the American market, it'd be Tourniquet, wouldn't it? Because they say Tourniquet. I suppose they would say Tourniquet. So the new Ford Tourniquet. I don't know. I still regularly discuss with my American wife how the Americans need to get their house in order about French pronunciations. Are you going with this or not? Because on the one hand, herbs, on the other, New Orleans. Just pick a side, okay? Yeah. Or St. Louis, for that matter. Just pick one. Yeah. I would personally stick with your kind of anglicised pronunciations and stop saying herbs because it's weird. Saying herbs. Well, it's just so odd. I don't get it. I'd love to know the backstory to why generally people in the US say herbs and not herbs. We do have some fantastic American listeners who are very. We do, yeah. Sorry, I don't want to diss Americans, and there's plenty that we say that's absolutely cock-arsed that you could have at. But yeah, the herbs one is one that always baffles me. Well, no, of course you're not dissing Americans. You're married to one. You're in the house with them most days.
Yes. Yeah.
You wouldn't do that, would you? I thought we could talk about one of two things. We could talk about the images that I sent to you last night on WhatsApp, or we could talk about the new VW ID GTI concept, which I think might have actually redeemed itself.
I would like to talk about that. There's quite a few things arrived last week at the Munich Motor Show. That's interesting, that, because a few cars that revealed sort of concept-y stuff, but that GTI concept. So it's a GTI'd version of the ID2 concept, which they announced, a few months ago. Yeah. And which is near as damn it a production car, isn't it? They're not really making much of a secret of that. Which I immediately piqued my interest, because I was sort of thinking what we're going to replace our E-Up with. And it's not as small as that. But I've checked the dimensions, and the ID2 and the GTI concept are it's very slightly bigger than a Polo. A current Polo, but smaller than a Golf. So that's not a bad size.
Yeah, that's because your kids are only going to get bigger, Rich, last time I checked.
I know, they keep doing that. Yeah. And I can't find a way to stop it. So
it's really annoying.
We will need more space. But what I like about that GTI concept particularly is just because it looks cool. It's not radical. It kind of it does look like it could exist and be in the showrooms right now.
Yeah, it does.
But it feels like it's Volkswagen just going back to first principles. Because you look at it and you just go, well, that's a VW.
Totally
and
agree.
You don't with an ID3 or an ID4. You kind of go, well, what are they trying here? It's they've tried, but it hasn't worked. They're not attractive cars. They just look a bit like they are trying a bit too hard to be. Yeah, I don't know, slightly futuristic.
It just isn't quite good enough for them.
Doesn't exactly. They're just not quite right. And I feel like if you think about historically, and I do hate it when people go, well, they should keep making this kind of car because it's the kind of car they used to make. It's like, that's not always true. And people go, oh, I can't believe BMW make front-wheel drive cars now. And well, most people who buy small BMWs don't actually know which wheels are driven, so it's irrelevant.
I did actually see a 2 Series Active Tourer last week with M Sport grill inserts and a stripe all the way over the top, and I nearly had to pull over and just cry a little bit. Yeah, it was just awful.
But if you think about what people want from a Volkswagen historically, sort of like a Mark II Golf or a 90s Polo, you want slightly kind of dour, sensible, restrained, tasteful, functional car. Yeah. And I feel like that's what they're shooting for with that ID2.
And dependable build quality, because that always was their calling card. Yes. And all German manufacturers have got worse at that, BMW being up there with cars that just aren't reliable enough, really. But I think this is the best of the IDs and the Golf world married together, because we've talked about the Mark 8 Golf looking like Simon Cowell's manipulated face, which is not really the kind of car I want to drive around in. And it's not as good as the car that it replaced. Yeah. And the ID3 is not quite as exciting, and it isn't really the people's car and the kind of Beetle-esque replacement that we were all hoping it to be. The ID Buzz is the only ID, am I right, that has some level of sort of cult and charisma that we can all kind of go, look, it's a character face and it's cool. But obviously it starts at 50 grand. So this, I like this. I have to say, if listeners haven't seen it, have a gander and let us know what you think, because it does look like a real GTI, but it's, as you said, it's restrained. It feels classy again, and I feel like VW I feel like Thomas Schaefer, VW CEO, has cracked the whip and gone, come on, let's sort some shit out.
Yeah, let's be VW again. Yeah. Which, that's it. You know what it is? It's tasteful. Yeah. It's, for the most part, it's just tasteful. It's not too flashy. It is very VW-ish. And I feel like, car companies, old school car companies, need to remember what made them successful back in the day, because if they don't have any core principles that have a bit of weight and history behind them, they have nothing, because the Chinese companies are coming to eat their lunch. Yeah. And all they have in their favour is a bit of history and a bit of continuity. And some people will still buy into that. Stories, people will buy stories.
They absolutely
From the people who brought you the Golf that you loved when you were a student or whatever, here's a new little electric car. And that's all they've got.
I think that's why the Up GTI has probably become a cult car instantly, a bit like your Panda 100 horsepower, because it's because you can use all its power and it feels more like the Mark 1 Golf than any Golf. So I was just reading about this ID GTI, which says there's no power rating mentioned, but it has the addition of a diff lock for the driven front wheels, which VW says is a link to the Golf GTI Club Sport.
Well, I don't know. Well, do you know what? Because I was thinking, and I saw some people online just whinging and going, well, it won't be a GTI because it's electric. And it's like, fucking grow up. I'm so bored of fuckwits just being so set in their ways about cars. Christ's sake.
Well,
it's like
I think
EVs are coming. We cannot stop it. And can I just something else that's driving me slightly nuts, and I keep hearing this. I listen to a lot of other car podcasts. There are a lot of very good car podcasts out there.
Any shit ones?
Yeah, there are some, I think, some shoddily shit ones out there as well. And there was one I was listening to the other week, which I think is absolute dullards. And they were doing this thing, which I've heard on other car podcasts. And it's whenever the subject of the future of cars generally comes up and EVs, there's a lot of, you sense, eye rolling. And then they inevitably go, well, of course, there's synthetic fuels. Do your fucking homework. Synthetic fuels are not going to save the internal combustion engine. It is on its way out.
Yeah.
At best, synthetic fuels will allow us to keep internally combusted cars that we find interesting and worth cherishing on the road.
Yeah.
But I read a thing this week that said at the current targets by 2035, the synthetic fuel industry will only be able to make enough fuel to keep 2% of cars on the road. So it's absolute bullshit, and any car podcast banging the drum for synthetic fuels needs to read up and stop being such dullards.
Well, and I'll say, of the 2% of cars which might be sipping on synthetic juice, they need to be charismatic piston cars.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in fueling something shit, should we just say.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But this is what also, I keep saying this, but it's really annoying me now that car enthusiasts, and we are, aren't we? You know, we both have
we are, Richard. We're
silly
both
things, but you've got to just take a sort of overview of this and go, the incoming rise of the EV for an everyday car is going to replace current internally combustion-powered Nissan Qashqais and Kia Ceeds and things like that, just like worthy workaday cars, but which, as car enthusiasts, nobody's getting particularly excited about anyway. It's not that EVs are coming to shoo every single Ferrari Testarossa and 250 GTO or even up GTI off the road. If you have one of those cars, you can keep it. And probably as normal everyday cars turn EV, there will be just about enough synthetic fuel. There will still be just regular fuel as well. There has to be. The tail on the internal combustion fleet of this country and countries all around the world is huge. Cars last. My Range Rover is 13 years old. It's just been serviced. They fixed the suspension fault. The guy went, it's a good one. You've got a load of life left in that car. And that's a fucking Range Rover, for Christ's sake. I mean, imagine.
It won't need scrapping for 18 months yet.
Up to 18 months. But this is the thing. It's like, there are loads. If you want to keep driving an internally combusted car, you can. Your local petrol station, well, it probably has been closed down and turned into flats because that's just happening. But not all petrol stations will close overnight. People seem to have got their panties in a twist about this.
Yeah.
As if in 2030... all petrol and diesel-powered cars are going to be crushed to a cube. It's not going to happen.
God, I really like this, Rich.
Sorry, I've been meaning to say this for a while.
I'm just listening to you while sipping out of my I Love Enya mug, which is not on brand for us, but it's just the one I picked out of the cupboard. Well, I think it is. I did listen to a bit of Enya the other night when I was having a stressful day. It was wonderful. Watching a blood-red moon come into play.
Now, just sorry, I will shut up in a minute, but just because it's sort of relevant to this, the VW ID2 GTI, and people were moaning about, well, it won't be a GTI because it's an EV.
Yeah,
I've now handed back that Abarth 500e, and I think, although it was deeply irritating, it did demonstrate that EV hot hatches can be a thing, because it was actually really good fun to sling about,
wasn't it?
I actually warmed to it more having got to drive it. Actually, a nice drive I had on the way home from Radwood after we recorded the last podcast. It's a beautiful evening. The roads were quite quiet. We went cross country back from Bicester down towards where I live.
Oh yeah, did you? You bunged it down some nice roads.
Yeah, well, I charged it up while we were parked at Bicester, so it had a full charge. So I didn't have to worry about that as well, because obviously that is a concern. That if you get a bit giddy, suddenly you go, oh shit, now I've got to stop and charge up. But no, full battery, off I went, and I just spanked its little yellow arse, and it was really, really good fun. So, you know, if you think the VW can distill some of that kind of ability into what it does, it'll be an amusing little car, and hopefully it won't be as annoying as the Abarth in other ways.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it feels like a real hot hatch. People that say a hot hatch has to sound good, I don't agree with, because there's a lot of hot hatches which don't have interesting sounding engines. They have interesting power delivery, and they have a great chassis, and the way at which it corners and bounces and that kind of short wheelbase. That's not all about engine notes. So I'm totally in. I know that you can make electric hot hatches. And have you seen this GTI concept? Have you seen its little hark back to the original GTI Golf gear shifter ball?
Yes. Yeah.
It's got the little rotary dial inside, mate. It's got the dimples on it. Looks just like the other one, like the original one and all that.
Yeah. I did a list because I was looking at YouTube and other podcasts and things and thinking, we don't give our podcasts clickbaity enough titles, and so I was thinking I've done a list of 6 things that annoy me about the Abarth 500e.
Oh, nice!
It's got 7 things on the list, but that's fine. One of them is the noise generator, but I'm not going to put that on my list because you can turn it off. It's just irritating. It's too loud. And as you pointed out in your video, it just keeps rising because there's no gears.
Oh, I mean,
sounds a bit stupid.
I think it just sounds like you're a learner driver that's been put on your parents' insurance of a peppy hatch, and you've forgotten that it's a 6-speed car, and you're just driving around in like third or second everywhere. Yeah. That's what irritated me about it.
So, in no particular order, the things that I think, and none of these are to do with, well, only one of them is to do with the fact it's electric, but I think the seat's too high.
Yep.
But worse than that, number 2, I carried my kids around in it quite a lot. And because it's a 2-door or 3-door, you have to flip the seats forward all the time. And then they're really difficult to flip forward.
You're
having to do 2 opposing reactions. You're having to pull that cord on the back of the seat towards the back of the car, but you then want to push the seat forward. It's just fucking stupid. It
doesn't work, does it? And while we're on that subject, because we just sounded like old ranty bastards, you know, electric coupe seats where you're trying to get someone in the back, and the amount of time it takes to get the electric seat to just dither its way forward, and usually it's in slashing rain, and you've got someone going, just get me in the car, and I'm like, I can't, because it's going can we just say I'm not interested in electric seats anymore, because adjustability of seats is not hard. There's some great levers and knobs. If they're in the right place and the mech works right, it's just another thing that we can strike off the list. And my brother's putting his hand in the air.
I like the compromise in my old 911, which was the backrest was electric. Because that can be a fiddle to adjust, can't it? And there's that with certain... So if it's not a rotary knob, if it's a lift-a-lever thing, there's always that sense that you just trying to edge it back one notch, and you then end up just lying down while the car's moving along. And I don't like that. But an electric backrest, so you can just just tweak it, but then everything else was manual. Or height was electric.
That's a really cool thing.
So I thought that's probably quite an intelligent compromise. Also, apart from the seats being hard to flip forward in that 500e, then also when you put them back, they didn't go back to their original position.
That's right, they didn't. That irritated me when we were on the shoot, because we set the camera at a specific angle to the driver. And of course, if the seat then goes out of adjustment, you can't remember exactly where it was, and we did that twice, and it was a complete Brian Canterbury tale.
Well,
so
I did it loads. I did loads and loads because I had the kids out in that car a lot of times, and and also one of my lads' mates in the back, he claimed that he gets claustrophobic in the back of cars, and it made him feel very claustrophobic back there because it's got high backed seats and quite small windows. So that's a little note if you have children. Third thing, that it's got wireless CarPlay, which is great. I love wireless CarPlay, but all the little icons are too small. They've scaled it wrong on the screen. The screen's not really tiny, but the icons are all too small. So you don't, and because the ride's quite firm, you often end up hitting the wrong thing, which is just it's like, again, just spend some time in the car you've designed and then fix the bits that get on your tits, Fiat. It's really simple, this, but apparently not. Apparently they didn't spend
Amazing
enough time
that we're still getting
car.
this shizzle wrong, isn't it?
I know. And then number 4, there's nowhere to put your left foot. It's just insane how badly designed that is. It's just, there's not enough room in the footwell of a 2-pedal car.
I picked up on that within about 5 miles of borrowing it and was like, right, that's going in the notebook. Damn you.
5, it doesn't make a noise when you lock it, so you're never quite sure if it's locked.
Oh, yeah, my Honda Element's like that. It's very, very discreet. The central locking's very quiet, and I have to do the whole dad thing of walking back to it to do the double, the grab handle check. But
the problem is you go back to the Abarth and try it, and that just opens the doors again because it's keyless. So you've got to keep your eye on the indicators, and if the indicators flash, you kind of know that it's locked. But, but if you're just in a hurry and you just push the button on the handle, there's no clunk. It's amazing they've managed to engineer that. Very clever, but it's
those solenoid door handles in the Fiat 500e and also the Abarth, of course. I don't know if you know, but I recently drove the Maserati Gran Turismo Folgore.
Oh yeah,
so the new Gran Turismo electric version, and that has the same door handles.
So does it?
Yeah, there's a review of that car coming imminently, and it's a good car.
Is it?
I actually think that Maserati they've got their mojo back, which has taken about 40 years. I was good, but no, it hasn't.
I'm sure they'll accidentally throw it away with the recycling and have to find a new one again soon. But the door handles I don't like. I think there's like Audis and stuff where there's a kind of a mechanical handle. It moves, but it's just releasing a electric catch. Yeah, and it's like shaking hands with a dead person because you kind of go, it's just not there's something off about this. There's something cold and weird. The handle is moving like it's releasing a mechanical catch, but it's not, and it just I don't know. I don't know.
Clammy handshake.
And then finally, that 500e. My 6th thing I don't like about it is the regen is way too aggressive.
Yeah, and you can't change it unless you can.
Change it.
And I've tried. I've looked for in excess of half an hour, and I can't work out how. So
no. Well, I mean, bearing in mind that the noise generator menu to turn that off is hidden in a sub-menu under the heading display.
It's ridiculous.
Which makes no shatting sense whatsoever. Again, It's like, spend some time with this stuff before you put the car on sale.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably hidden under a menu called door mirrors or something, just because
it's as confusing as cryptocurrency. I would say, and for anyone, I've had about 4 intelligent people trying to explain to me what cryptocurrency is, and I still have no idea. No idea. You might as well talk to me about how trombones are linked to Formula One, which is last time I checked. I don't think they are.
Anyway.
I was going to.
Sorry, I've been a bit moany today.
I
apologise. I'm actually in quite a good mood. You were the one who said I'm in a really shitty mood and it's not going away. I was like, I'm quite jolly this morning, and no,
I was in a foul mood.
Don't sound like I am.
Yeah, I was in a foul mood. I've slept badly and put my neck out, and I was on a Teams call that went on too long, and so and that's annoyed me. Full stop. But it's okay because I just went out there and stroked the tortoises for a couple of minutes in the sunshine, and all was good. And that's definitely not a euphemism.
Not a euphemism.
Can I bring up a subject which I very rarely talk about on Smith and Sniff? Miami Vice. I don't know how I did it, but I managed to switch on subtitles onto my television by just leaning on the control, and I actually don't know how to turn it off now. So in the last week I've got quite into having fully subtitled television, and Miami Vice with subtitles on is very fascinating. I sent you some screenshots, Richard, which I'll share with Patreons.
Yes, you did.
And I'll try. So in the brackets when there's music on, it describes the music, My favourite one, I kept trying to rewind and pause and get one, but it was. Is there a word? Ethereal.
Ethereal. Yes.
Ethereal.
Yeah.
Is it to do with the ether and it being?
Yeah, sort of ghostly and
That's
wraith-like.
Right.
Yeah.
So my favourite one is when they were driving along in the Testarossa at night on like a big Floridian bridge. And it just had in enclosed brackets ethereal synth music, and I thought that you'd probably wear a T-shirt with that on.
I would bloody love a T-shirt.
Honestly, it was really good.
Synth music written on
Ethereal synth music, and there was another one which said there was another one where they're about to smash the door down on a perp's apartment, and it had in brackets driving rock music. And then there was another one where I think someone was about to get murdered, and there was the guy's wife who was about to get murdered driving away with her children because they'd had a big argument. And in brackets, slow, wistful rock music. And I just think, I don't know, it's a bit Partridge, I admit, but I did very much like it.
I suppose if you can't hear or are hard of hearing, then I suppose it is quite helpful. But then they do it for dialogue, though, don't they? Because I've seen it when I've accidentally turned the subtitles on, and sometimes it will just say things like grunting or hard breathing, and
hard breathing,
yeah, wistful sigh. And you go, yeah, I suppose it was quite wistful. Ethereal synth music, though, that's fabulous.
Ethereal's a good one, isn't it? And yeah, I'm nearly on to the 4th series, just in case anyone cares. I think there's 5 series of Miami Vice. I feel like I have to get through this now, although it is a bit Groundhog Day. I'm still enjoying the quality of the acting. I'm definitely enjoying the pitch bend Jan Hammer incidental music, but
as you get presumably the 4th and 5th series, are the guest stars reaching a fever pitch because the show's now quite well known? Yeah,
there's been some. Yeah, in fact, the night before last we had who was it? We had 2 quite famous people in it. Bugger, it'll come to me in a minute, but yeah, and there's so many still 500 SEL, AMG, Mercedes, just. The extra, always the longer wheelbase with the bigger back door, and always with the boxy side skirts where, when you go in and out of the American driveways, I'm constantly wincing, thinking it's just going to remove its whole side skirt.
Yes.
And even the other day I watched one when Crockett came in hot to a warehouse complex, and again a huge gully drain kind of like junction off the road, and he was on full lock in the Testicle Rossa, and it made a horrible clonk, and I thought, oh, Richard would not have liked that. Richard would have gone, oh gosh, that's going to be track rod ends galore.
I'm wondering, did they only sell the SEL in the US?
No, you could buy an SEL in this country.
No, what I mean is, did they not sell the standard wheelbase in the US?
Oh, good question. Like an SE. So, well, we'll have to I think they did, but you're making me wonder whether...
No, I was just wondering out loud if there was they kind of went... just because, cars are generally bigger, particularly in the 80s in the US, so they just went, let's fit in by only selling the longer one. I don't know. I have to look this up. But I was going to say to you, I said this to you already, that I feel like if this podcast was going to do an overseas live recording, or indeed just relocate to somewhere else in the world,
yes,
it really should just be Miami. Because Miami Vice, you could hunt down and harm DJ Khaled. He lives there.
I'm not going to harm him.
Well, you could just throw soup or dog shit.
I'd like to strim his shins. I'd like to.
Yeah, there you go. You see, that's harm.
Is it? Well,
that's harming DJ Khaled.
I just pretend that I was like a replacement gardener, because he will have a team of gardeners. And while he's in the garden clowning around doing something really meaningless on Instagram, I'll just accidentally strim his knees. I'm so confused by DJ Khaled. I was talking to someone that's met him a couple of days ago who shall remain nameless. And I did use certain words which I won't use here, and I just go, is he really like that, or do you think it's an intentional attention grabbing persona? Because I have to hope that it's the latter. Otherwise, I'd say he's within 10% of being sectioned. So, but anyway, well, let's gloss over that, because I'll get a text from my mum saying you need to stop disrespecting DJ Khaled because it's cruel.
Stop being me. Yeah, I imagine your mum's a massive DJ Khaled fan. She's got all his records. Because funny enough, I read an interview with DJ Khaled where I thought he sort of came across well. You know, he's very much self-made, and he's built this incredible career and fortune and stuff like that. I thought, okay, maybe we're a bit harsh on him. But then, do you ever watch, there's a show on YouTube that I'm a big fan of called Hot Ones, which is where they get celebrities on and they interview them.
Hot Ones?
Sean Evans is the Hot Ones. So
what, WANDS?
No, we're not Hot Ones. I mean, I'm sure there is a show called that somewhere, but probably not on YouTube. So he interviews them. The host, Sean Evans, interviews celebrities while they're eating spicy chicken wings.
What?
So they have 10 wings of increasing heat, and they work their way up while he's interviewing them about whatever it is they're trying to promote. And he's had Matt Damon on there.
Matt Damon,
Jennifer Lawrence. It's you name a big star, they've probably been on Hot Ones. It's an amazing show, because such a simple concept, but what it does do is it kind of strips people down, because when they start getting a bit of a sweaty mouth, they're so distracted by that you feel like you get to see a bit of what they're really like. And a lot of people, they come across really well. Lorde, the singer Lorde,
yeah,
she went all the way up to the hottest, like DEFCON 1 nuke strength hot sauce, didn't flinch once, just carried on chatting about what she's working on and stuff.
Oh, wow.
She was absolutely brilliant. So you get people like that. I recently watched, in fact, while I was on holiday over the summer, I watched the DJ Khaled episode, which is from a few years ago. He is the worst person they've ever had on there. He gets to the second wing, which is not very hot, relatively, and just bottles out, and is a bit of a prick about it.
DJ Khaled?
Yeah. So, he talks a big I am. I think he's one of the few. I think they've now got about 5 or 6 people who bottled out and couldn't do the whole 10 or even try them. But he bailed on number 2. He is absolutely the worst guest they've ever had on that show. And it's been running for ages now.
I want to suggest, this will probably never happen, but let's try it. I want to suggest I'd like one of those very soft BBC documentaries, but I want DJ Khaled to go narrowboat holidaying. But he has to be in charge of the boat.
Right.
And obviously there are lots of narrow historic waterways of the UK with other narrowboat owners. I want that to be the premise. I want to see how that pans out.
Shouting "We the best" while smacking it into the gates of a lock on the Shropshire Union.
Exactly, shouting, what is it? They didn't believe us. God did. Long swollen pause.
Has anyone ever come in so hot to the top of a lock that they've ridden over the top of the gates and dropped into the empty lock below?
What, like those, like a rapids canoeist who just drops it off a waterfall and then just comes back?
Yes,
up.
Exactly that. Yeah, but on a narrow boat.
Can you imagine DJ Khaled not understanding the lock process and just trying to sort of skip through?
Just trying to bullshit his way through locks. Yeah, exactly. Just or shout, just complaining that they're the wrong height and then walking off and not refusing to take part in the rest of the holiday. I don't know. Like the Land Rover place that serviced my car. There's a bit. My car was parked on this side bit of their premises, and the receptionist lady said, "Now, when you drive off here, just be careful, because just keep to the right, because left there you'll see there's actually a low brick wall that fences off the rest of it." And as you'll notice, just the other day, someone drove off the end of the brick wall there and took a few bricks off the end of it.
What?
And they just dropped off. They'd ridden over the lip of the brick wall, probably about 2 bricks high, and then just dropped into the pavement. So that's how Khaled would go into a canal lock. I imagine.
I think that's what we need to happen. DJ Khaled, narrowboat holidaying. He can do all the things, all the hallmarks of DJ Khaled, but he's on a narrowboat holiday and has to respect the noise curfew and also the speed restrictions that come with narrowboating.
Yes.
Please, if we can make that. And what I mean, by the way, all the while that's happening, you and I are in Miami.
Well, yeah, because I haven't told you my third reason we should go to Miami, which is Oliver Francois, the Stellantis, whatever he is this week, chief of everything officer.
Yeah.
Because he lives in Miami,
Does he?
From what I can gather. Yeah, from his Instagram account. He always seems to be in Miami with his arm around Shaggy or Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. Yeah. I think he's based in Miami, which in itself is inexplicable because I don't believe that Stellantis head office is in Miami, but
I was just about to say, is that like a silly commute, or does he just never go to the office?
I do, but never goes to the office because I'd love to come in, but unfortunately, Michael Bolton's just popped round for a cup of tea, so I'm going to stay home this morning. Sorry, guys. I don't know, but yeah, I'm pretty certain. If you look at his Instagram, Olivier Francois is always in Miami. So if we go there, we can go and look him up. And, if he's not,
I've only ever been to Miami once. It was lots of fun. I might have said it before in a podcast. I'm sure I did. And I drove it was when the whole donk box and bubble craze was kicking off, which is still a very East Coast thing. I don't think it's a West Coast thing.
Is it not?
No, I don't think they do the sort of 28-inch wheels with kind of M&M's decals over on the West Coast. I think it's a bit too silly even for them. So, but I'm certainly not an expert on this. But yeah, I was trying to think of what would make the worst / best for us if we did have a residency in Miami. Would we drive around in a donk or a box or a bubble, and what would that be?
I think we sort of need to bring a Euro flavour to things, wouldn't we, to be true to our roots.
Oh, okay.
So what about
MGZTT,
a Rover 75 donk?
Yes, we've both gone in with Rover 75 bodies. I actually think it's a not shit idea. Okay, it's a not shit idea.
I think so. I'd love to represent, as people probably don't say anymore.
I would as well.
The UK scene with a 75 on 28 inch.
Well, if we do a Cars and Coffee, obviously that starts at 3 a.m. One of us, we have to toss a coin the night before in the hotel room. One of us has to wear NBA awards suit to the... One of us has to wear an NBA ceremony suit. You sort of fall out of this unnecessarily high car with loads of surplus material.
Some of the linen gets snagged on the door lock catch, dangling.
You tear the arse out of your suit before you've even got to the event.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I know this is stupid. I did a very brief search on eBay for baggy linen suit because I thought,
no, you didn't.
I'm going to plan ahead. I need to get this in for Radwood next year. Well, because you know that guy that you saw in the business suit. Did you see the other day? He outed himself on Twitter.
No, I didn't see this.
Yeah, he came forward because other people, I think someone else had posted a picture of him, and then you said that's the guy that we were talking about in the podcast. And then he came forward and he went, yeah, that's me. And he said, I got that suit off eBay.
What?
And I thought, brilliant, that's what I need to do. And I'll do it. I'll go and have a look now before I forget. And I had a quick look. But weirdly, when you search baggy linen suit, it doesn't quite get the gist of what you want. So that needs some more research. But I will do it for next year. I'm determined I'm going to go full NBA.
I think well, maybe we'll go together NBA. I'll see if I can borrow.
Yeah.
I might borrow a car that would work for that if I don't own one.
I was kind of hoping you were going to say that because I would also maybe feel a bit of a tit on my own. But if the pair of us are dressed like, do you know who else used to rock a very baggy suit around then?
I don't know why I find it so funny.
Those sort of boy bands. They're like Backstreet Boys and things. I think they would, if they were doing, like if they're going to an awards ceremony or something, they were dressing up.
Yeah. What, new Kids on the Block, surely. New Kids on the Block. I
suppose they would.
And Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Oh, hey, we should wrap this up, but before we do, I really want to talk to you about, have you seen the new Toyota Century SUV?
Oh, gosh, I have. I did see it. I did. I sighed.
I know, I did too. I have been really moany this week, but it pisses me off, the Toyota Century SUV, because it's against everything that the Toyota Century is supposed to be, which is it's meant to be stealth wealth. Yeah, it's discreet. It's for your quintessential old school Japanese businessman who does not want to be noticed.
Yeah.
And this is like exactly the opposite. It's trying to be noticed, which means it's not a Century. It's dog shit.
Well, it looks just like a rubbishy pastiche of a Chevy Suburban or a Rolls Cunnilingus, doesn't it? And unfortunately,
yes,
I
just have you seen the 2 rows of twin headlights at the front?
Yeah,
to me, looked a bit like that car from National Lampoon's Vacation.
Oh, the not the family truckster, the family truckster.
Was that what it was called?
Yes, it is. Yeah, which is so ironic. Yeah. It's actually cool now, but.
Yeah, I was going to look up the family truckster. Yeah, see, there was a Ford, not Crown Vic, what were they called? But it was modified, the production modified it to look more ridiculous.
It's a Ford LTD, I think it's an LTD wagon, isn't it? Which was called the Country Squire, Fold's Country Squire and all that. You know what I mean?
It's just, I'm just looking at a picture of it.
I love it.
It's brilliantly shit.
Yeah, but that's got more class, Rich, than this.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I suppose they're probably just chasing the market because, in truth, there aren't that many old school trad Japanese businessmen who want a Century saloon anymore, and they've had to sort of go where the money is. But it disappoints me nonetheless.
It disappoints me hugely, and I'm going to have a rant now. Look at what Hyundai did recently with their grandeur concept. It got more headlines and more people giddy and more young car enthusiasts of JDM-ness all fired up because it was totally different. It went, I'll tell you what, take an 80s 3-box saloon, bring it up to the 21st century, slightly retro, slightly future retro, whatever, modern drivetrain, cool integrated infotainment and connectivity. And Hyundai will make that car because that's the way they roll, mate, at the moment. And Toyota could have done that. They could have done that and could have been the only player to have done that in the game.
Yeah.
SUVs aren't classy. I'm sorry. I don't think they are. I think you just look like a sheep following the other sheep, and that doesn't mean that you're classy. Also, old money, good barometer for understated class. Old money will not drive this. Old Japanese money will not go near this.
No. I do wonder who... I don't know enough about Japan, but I just feel like I do wonder who will want this, because...
It starts at 135 grand.
I know. That's the thing,
which is about... Is it about 700 billion yen? I'm not up on
something
my
like
yen.
that, yeah. No, I don't know. But I just don't get it, because I don't know culturally in Japan whether sort of Toyota Century is associated with old men in business suits, and whether that name will sort of nullify any of the apparent cool of looking a bit like a Rolls Cullinan amongst people who think Rolls Cullinans are cool.
We both have sad emoji faces here, and I think this is where I do get a bit jaded about the way the new car industry is going, because I don't see that as evolution. A bigger, wider, heavier, taller car is not the answer. Even if you're looking for class, it's still not the answer, I don't believe. But who am I? Who am I to be the tastemaker for this sort of thing?
Yeah. As that famous meme from The Simpsons with Principal Skinner on it says, no, it's the kids that are wrong. But who knows? Probably it is just us. Well, on that slightly downbeat and melancholy note...
You nearly said on that side of things, didn't you?
I did, didn't I? Well, I suppose to, because we've been told by listeners to use the catchphrase more. I don't know.
And all that.
All right, well... Anyway, it probably is time to go. Before we do, 3 things to tell you. They are: 1, Johnny has a solo YouTube channel. It's called The Hate Shapes Show.
Oh, gosh.
He picks an outline and then slags it off. This week he's in a primary school near Preston calling isosceles triangles shit. If that's not to your taste, there's always The Late Break Show. Lots of excellent videos about cars and people who love cars on there. What's going on at the moment?
Oh, I'm doing bobbins. Hang on. What's the latest one? It was on the tip of my tongue. It's either something about Maserati, like a little thing about Maserati, or hang on, he's quickly scrolling through because he should bloody know, but he doesn't. Shit. hang on, you swine.
What people don't know is that
it's the Maserati thing's the week after. It is an idle chat with US YouTuber Tavares, who we recently Freddie Tavares, and I think it's a real good one. It's quite long form. He's an exceptionally interesting chap. We covered a lot of ground, and he's a real car person, but also he wants to give a lot back. So he was just really, really, really gracious and really helpful. And we ended up, as the Americans would say, hanging out for a while afterwards, which sounds wrong now that I've just said it like that, but that's what we did. Okay? More on that soon.
The second thing I've got to tell you is I've got various books out. Boring Car Trivia 1, 2 or 3. They're all there. 4's on its way, I promise. But in the meantime, go and buy one of those if you haven't already. And the third thing I have to tell you is that the Hawaiian pizza was invented in Canada.
No way.
Yeah, it's in fact, it was a Greek immigrant to Canada who owned a place selling pizzas.
Pizzeria?
In the 60s, decided, yes, well, it was in the sort of infancy of the pizza being a thing, I think, and he decided to experiment, and he put canned pineapple slices on top of it along with ham, and he called it the Hawaiian because the pineapple slices were from a brand called Hawaiian tinned pineapple, and that's where it came from, but otherwise now to do with Hawaii.
I bet you tinned ones work better than fresh in a pizza environment.
Yeah, because they have that sweetness to them, don't they?
They do. So, sweetness.
Sweet pineapple. Good.
Honestly, such a sweetness. Yeah, really. I've really enjoyed this podcast, but I apologise if it comes across as being extra ranty. But now and again, that's the way we do things. And
I feel like we're a bit negative this week. Next week we'll be all sunny and positive, and we'll talk about nice things.
I cheered myself up by singing Goldfinger, the Bond tune, in a Bristolian way this morning, and it was really lovely because it's Codefinger. Goldfinger, such a Codefinger, welcomes you to enter his web of sin, but don't go in. Yeah? Just, and I thought it was funny, so it's unlikely that everyone else will find it funny.
Yeah, well, your mileage may vary, but that's usually the case with this. So, thank you ever so much for listening. We will do this all again next week. Until then, goodbye.
Bye now. Thanks and all that. Bye. Cheers. Jag Vandalism News, it's Jag Vandalism News. Jag Vandalism News, it's Jag Vandalism News. Don't be naughty, don't be nasty, oh look I've ruined another Jag. Don't be naughty, don't be nasty, oh look I've ruined another Jag. Jag Vandalism News, it's Jag Vandalism News. Jag Vandalism News, it's Jag Vandalism News. Jag Vandalism News, it's Jag Vandalism News. Jag Vandalism News, it's Jag Vandalism News.